Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is time for another edition of Not Talking Movies with Ron and Mean Gene. Available for sponsor. Just reach out to me, Eric at ericzaneshow.com. I have Gene with his adorable, is that a wiener dog I see there?
Wow. Yes, it is. That's Mooch.
Hi, Mooch.
Mooch.
Is that a white-faced puppy I see? Is Mooch a little long in the tooth?
She is, what? We were just discussing this. She's like 11.
10 years old, you said.
10 or 11? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She's got a little gray to her. So, I don't, where's yours? They aren't in the background there. There we go.
Yep. Oh my God. Hello, baby. Hello. Oh my goodness. What an angel.
Who are those people? Who are
yes.
those people?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's got
that is
full
fantastic. What a color scheme.
right?
What?
I believe
what
they call it Dapple or something along that line.
Really cool. Really great.
Great dog. She's a great
Gene looking like a Michigan cheerleader with the Michigan hat and then the gold and blue shirt.
Yeah, it's Beer Trail shirt
Yep.
from my Mount Pleasant days. But yeah,
we have the world famous Ron, formerly of Celebration Cinema, here. Still dabbles in it to some degree. I know old habits will end up dying hard for you.
Yeah, I'm following the entertainment industry. I have plenty of headlines to talk about when we get there.
Gotcha. Okay, so as we start this podcast, you need to know, gentlemen, that as we speak, within the confines of the Eric Zane Show podcast household, within the backyard, a bridal shower is about to begin.
Whoa!
Wait,
Yeah.
who? What?
Okay, this is the story. On Monday, Diana approaches me as I'm sitting in the driveway, like washing a car or something. She goes, "Don't be mad." And I go, "Uh-oh." Have you ever had that happen where the first words are, "Hey, don't be mad," and I'm like,
okay.
And so now I'm thinking it's gonna be, I got a ticket or I smashed the car.
Right.
So that's what I'm thinking, which isn't great. And then she goes, "We're hosting a bridal shower." I go, "I don't care. I mean, that's great. I'm glad that because what happened was the place that this young couple or the wife, the young lady who's getting married was going to have it. It got canceled. They couldn't use the facilities because of COVID.
So it's not one of your kids, one of your daughters getting married.
Exactly.
Oh, I thought that was
it's a friend of the family's kid.
Okay.
So are you renting Are you renting your backyard now for
I don't know, sexual favors? I have no idea.
If it works out, we could have a new business here.
Rod goes, wait a minute.
Right off the bat, right?
Oh yeah, of course I had to go that way.
Show.
Well, okay, how many people are coming over then? What
30,
kind of mess
40 people.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I'm like,
gonna make a mess.
I gotta stay out of the way. I just gotta stay in my
all,
lane.
Because it's all women, right?
Oh my
No,
God.
it'll be mixed. They're mixed now, aren't they?
Yes, but not this one. This is gonna be all estrogen.
Oh my
I'm
God.
I'm the only dude.
When is it? Is that
like now? It's gonna be
Right
starting
now?
very soon.
Oh,
like
get
in an
out
hour.
of there. Get out of the
I'm
Get out of
this
the
podcast.
house.
Get out!
Get
out of there!
while you can.
No, Eric, he's a professional voyeur. He's going to sit up in his bedroom and like with his binoculars and start.
Turn the camera around. Let's see what's out there. Come on.
You can't see from where we are. Otherwise, I would. I would.
Bunch of hot 20-something-year-old women
Pretty
are in
much.
your backyards.
So I'll walk around like, "Hey, silver fox coming through."
Have you not reached that age where you look at younger women and go, "Never again in my life. I'm just too old for all of it."
I'm grossed out by young women. They actually make me sick. They're young, attractive women to me. I'm just like disgusted. Because
Dude,
who are you trying to fool?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Because my daughter is 23, so it's like, God, I keep seeing my kid, and that makes me. It's a revulsion. I am very much attracted to women my age, and I think that most people are. I don't know. I don't want to speak for anybody, but if by some strange reason or for some, God forbid, there was a terrible thing that happened, and Eric was a widow. I think I'd go for a lady who's like 78.
Now that is revolting to
Oh
me.
God, really?
If I would go in a totally different direction there, but I guess it depends on her bank account, right, Eric?
Yeah,
Oh.
absolutely. Yeah, have you ever seen a 80-year-old who actually looks hot?
No,
I don't think that happens ever.
no.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny, and I'm gonna take this right into the gutter, right with you, Eric. So
Good. Good.
I was working earlier this year with a couple of young kids in their 20s, and they're all, they're talking about their prowess and all this stuff, and they were
Oh.
making, and one of them was joking to the other one about having granny sex, and I just started laughing, ha ha ha, and I thought to myself, oh wait, that's me. Granny sex all the time. It's not bad.
You're sleeping with a grandmother for
Oh,
I love granny.
oh, horrible.
Oh,
What
gosh.
happened to us? What happened?
No.
We became our parents and we're grossed out by our
Oh.
parents having sex. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing is a mess.
All
Just
right.
very, very strange to me.
Okay.
listen,
Uh,
I've been in the YMCA that you attended back in the day when those sort of things were illegal. I've seen some of those girls that you're repulsed by, and I don't believe you for a minute.
Not for a
well,
minute.
yeah, I mean, I'll see them and I'll say, oh, well, she's clearly a knockout, but it's like, it just, I can't let it
you
go
picture
anything
your
further
daughter.
than
I
that
get it.
because I'm like, this is
Well,
weird to me.
I'm glad you have that on-off switch because there are some people that don't, and that does really gross me out.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So as we go, in fact, you just talked about the gym. Did you guys see how at the start of Thursday, it was supposed to be 12:01, the gyms could open up, and then there was a big court case where the governor was able to keep that thing those shut down. Did you happen to follow that story though?
Yeah, it was overturning a prior decision, right? What were you going to say, Gene?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, because we talked about this last week about the Fit Body boot camps in the Grand Rapids area are still open. I mean, they opened last Monday, and they are still open despite that because of some loophole in the law, I guess it is.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I saw that.
I don't know about regular gyms, but I know they're open and they're practicing all kinds of safety, the distancing, and you got to stand in line, and there's so much involved in it. It's more of an exercise just getting in than it is when you get in to do the exercise. So, and they haven't been shut down yet. So, I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, she wanted it shut down to July 4th. So
Yeah.
part of me is like, I don't know how much difference it's going to make. I do understand the method to the madness. Most people don't like it though. I think she is getting a dwindling number of people that support her, frankly,
Yeah, I
about
believe
this.
so.
I think people are getting a little bit sick of it.
Well, I know, but they should read the headlines and look at the rest of the United States spiking unbelievably and noticing that Michigan is not doing that. And give her a little bit of credit for that. But it wasn't just gyms, right? I mean, there was talk of the casinos opening and they're not opening. I didn't know
Movie
who else.
theaters.
Yeah, theaters
Oh.
are not going to be opening, and that's just not that. That's not just Michigan. I mean, New York is delaying the opening of theaters, and that's having a rippling effect through the industry right now.
Have you heard of any theater organizations that have just said, all right, we're out of business? Has that happened?
I have not seen any major announcements other than the AMC theater circuit, which is the biggest circuit in the world, was about to go bankrupt. And they said, we just can't operate with this limited capacity and our financial situation, our debt load, and all of that. And then they got an infusion of cash from somewhere. I don't even know how they raised the money to keep themselves in business. And now they say they're going to open July 17.
Wow. Yeah, this is it's remarkable. I was doing some research, and speaking of that, getting together as a crowd for hockey games, which is very near and dear to me. There is a speculation that some of these teams in the American Hockey League, they don't even want to start playing because they
Wow.
cannot. These teams, it's not like the NHL. They 100% rely on fans being
Ticket
there.
sales.
Yeah. And oh boy, I'm very, very concerned about this going away. Just the whole thing drying up, you know?
Yeah, and minor league sports in general, baseball in particular, because there's so many different levels of minor league baseball, and even the professionals aren't even playing yet. But it's also interesting to start talking about who gets to play when they start firing up leagues again, and what happens when people get tested positive, and who's going to fill their roster spots, and how far down do they go, and who do they call up from the AHL if the Red Wings have half the roster down for quarantine, you know?
Yeah. I would like to think that just when you start to think, well, maybe maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel. I think this needs to be very, very careful and cautious.
Yes.
And I don't know, man. I just don't feel great about this. How do you feel about all this?
Certainly every business, like we've talked about before, that relies on crowds of people and maximizing attendance to be profitable, movie theaters, concert venues, even restaurants to a certain extent that are dealing with limited capacity. The question of whether or not they can survive with limited capacity until there's a vaccine or until we can get crowds back into these sort of venues. I think there's going to be more and more of them falling out with the second wave and more positive tests and spiking numbers if they can't ever can't ever see the kind of traffic they need to be able to make a profit to stay in business. They're going to keep falling by the wayside and going out of business.
Yeah, and Gene, I was thinking about the whole concert industry.
Mhm.
Oh my God! I mean, will we ever see a show again?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's enough outdoor venues out there, and they can space people apart and that kind of thing. And there's different ways of generating revenue in that play in that sense. So, will we ever see the huge crowds indoor again? We will eventually. Things will all come around, but until then, how do you survive? How do these arenas survive? Because they have staffs too. They've got bills that have not just the teams that play in them and the groups that come to them, but the arenas themselves have got to survive somehow. And I guess the catchword these days now is pivoting. You guys obviously have heard this.
Yep, sure have. I've actually done a rant about that word.
Did you
Hey,
really?
have you started? Well, wow, that was a great pivot.
it's the new catchphrase for businesses. It's being able to see opportunities as they
Right.
present themselves.
Right, and when they see them, Gene, they lean into them.
Yeah, you got to.
Pivot and then you lean in.
Maybe
you
the
lean
latest
in and then
rendition of
pivot. I
thinking
don't know
out
which
the
one is
box.
worse.
I know. If someone leaned into me, I'd want to smack the hell out of them. It's like, get out of my face.
So anyway, the music industry, I think, is going to be fine. I mean, they've already kind of done that with the online music and all of that stuff. Concerts, pay-per-view.
Well, wait a minute.
Pay-per-view will probably become a big thing in the near future. I know with sports and stuff like that, it's gonna, that's a possibility. That is an alternative.
I'd heard, correct me if I'm wrong, that in the music business right now, the acts are making money off of touring. They're not making money off of selling their music. They're making money off of touring, and nobody's touring, right?
Right.
So it's gonna be tough for a while.
So things will have to change in the selling arena. They're going to have to probably get more or come up with a different way to sell, because if the groups aren't making money and the record labels are making all the money and the groups aren't going to play anymore, well, the record companies are going to have to figure out a way to pay the groups so that they can continue to produce music. Again, they're going to have to, what's the word?
Pivot.
Thank you.
Okay.
Adapt. Okay. Yeah.
Where we live in a state that for about 1,000 years you could not buy fireworks.
Yeah.
In the past few years, they changed the law. And nowadays, this state has become like, you don't need to wear a helmet. You can get the fireworks. You can smoke the pot. You can do it. It's like New Hampshire and Colorado rolled into one. I mean, this is the place to be. Now, all right. So when it comes to fireworks, where do you guys stand? Do you buy
I
and
stand
light your
far
own?
away from them, as far away from them as I can.
When we were growing up, we used to
Yes.
we had a neighbor who would get them from states that you couldn't get because you couldn't get these.
Yeah.
We called her Grandma Dynamite, and Grandma Dynamite would go and get bottle rockets. Okay.
Ooh.
And oh my God, did we love these things? And so we'd have wars against each other, putting them in a pipe, and you shoot them. So that's
Oh,
good stuff.
That was
What kids do.
Scott Sonny had his members only jacket one day. This is a kid I went to school with. And I was in elementary school. He was in junior high school. He got out before I did. And so that school got out during the day about an hour earlier. And I'll never forget it. I was on recess in elementary school, 6th grade, and I heard a vast amount of explosions going off. And so come to find out, as I'm walking home, I see the paramedics, EMTs at Scott's house. And this dummy had the gross of bottle rockets in his jacket, and he lit one and he flicked it. And when it's spinning, at the precise moment that it was aiming at him, it ignited and flew into his coat.
Oh, no.
And they all went off, and he lit on his members only jacket lit on fire, and he was running around like,
Well, those things are like they would burst. I mean, that's like plastic, for
so
crying out
he
loud.
was on fire like that guy in that Vietnam protest, and Jeff Jadula put him out. He actually put him out, and
Rock and roll,
smothered
baby.
it.
it burned his nips off. He had no nips. He was known as No Nips Sonny from that day forward. And so
Let this be a lesson to you, children.
So
Grandma Dynamite had to give up her nickname.
Yes. And so it was a big scandal. Grandma Dynamite, she got in big trouble because we thought that he narked on her, and No Nip Sonny, he sang like a bird. So, holy cow, incredible thing.
You might as well just get a whole bunch of dollar bills and light them on fire. I mean, to me, that's you're burning your money. I've never felt the thrill of lighting off something that hurt my ears and could possibly burn my nipples off. I don't want to spend my money on something like that. I will sit on my dock on 4th of July, and our lake association will shoot off some fireworks, and I will ooh and ah,
right.
And that's good enough for me. I'm not spending a dime on myself.
It makes you wonder. I just saw a post from my friend Adam Deggy. He's a local comic, and he's a nationally touring comic, but he lives around here. And he said, seriously, I'm not trying to be insulting, but you got to wonder about the IQ, he said, of someone who actually buys these and goes, yes, what a day. I've got fireworks, and shoots them off from their driveway in the neighborhood.
Right.
Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, to each his own, whatever floats your boat. But I don't know. Are we looking do you think something like that maybe is going on there? Or?
Well, I mean, you're the center of attention, first of all. Everybody's got a little bit of pyro in them, except, of course, Ron.
No, listen, I'll make a campfire any night of the week, but it's the spending. It's the Dutchman in me
that's what it is.
Money
there it is.
Right,
That's exactly what it is.
To burn things. But let me ask you, dog owners, don't your dogs freak out at the sound of these things? And now they've given them an extended period of time to light them off. It used to be like just July 3 and July 4, or maybe 3 through 5.
Yeah.
Now the window's getting bigger, and okay, they're shooting them off after dark when all us old people want to go to bed. Our dogs are barking and crying and screaming, and it's like, get off my lawn!
Yeah, I get it, and I understand with the dogs. I mean, I got a PTSD dog, but there's also the PTSD guys. I mean, all these veterans, man.
Right.
Oh boy, this is like a bad time of the year. These guys are. And that's something that I'm understanding. I'm told that it's like really hard to get over. So I mean, holy moly!
I have no idea how hard that must have been to go to a place like Vietnam and then come back and try to be a normal person. I mean,
you can't.
It's just the craziest stories you've heard, they're all true. I believe it. And
Yeah.
so for that reason alone,
Right.
just ban fireworks. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think if the state is making cash from it, I'm all about that. I
Oh, yeah,
mean,
Yeah, we used to have, we went back in the day when I was on the athletic boosters board. That was our big fundraiser for the year, was setting up those tents and selling those fireworks in the Meyer parking lots. I get it. People, like you said, Eric, it's their prerogative and it's not against the law. But as the older I get,
when did you become a curmudgeon, Ron? I mean, it's like, come on.
it's his retirement. It's because he
my
retired.
Get
He's
off
retired.
my lawn.
Yeah, we all know Gene's the party animal. Heck yeah.
Oh, right. I'm the one. You got a party in your backyard right now.
Yeah.
You're the party animal.
And there's going to be fireworks at dark.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, God.
All right. Anything else? What else is burning on the brains of you two fine gentlemen?
Well, a little entertainment update, just because I've been watching the news on how the chicken and the egg, the movie theaters opening up or their new movies being released into theaters, and it's slowing down very, very much so. And number one, China as a market is still not open since January. Their theaters are still closed and they're going to be closed through July, they're saying. And so now Disney, who's making all kinds of headlines, one of their headlines is they're probably going to move Mulan back, which had already been planned to open in March and now has a July date set. They're probably going to move it because they're going to have this movie set in China that they can't play in China movie theaters. So if they don't have the U.S. market, because New York is not opening theaters, California's at 25%, no theaters in Michigan, no theaters in Illinois. There's enough of a slowdown here so that it appears as though, big movies are not going to be coming out until later in July, and movie theaters are probably not going to open up until the middle of July at the earliest.
Wow.
So yeah,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
really, I guess in some ways that's good news if you're really worried about people getting together in those kind of spaces, even though theaters, I think, can do social distancing more easily than
Right.
almost anybody, especially bars,
Would you go to a theater, Ron?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
You feel comfortable.
You can easily socially distance by only selling seats within a certain distance from themselves. Do I want to go to a bar? No, I'm not going to a bar. Okay.
If Ron's sitting there and some wise guy comes and actually sits directly next to him, do you get up? Do you say anything? You probably get up, right?
Well, number one, if I knew they were not selling seats to strangers apart from their family groups, you would know they were sitting in the wrong seat. You can't sit next to me. We're not supposed to be sitting next to me.
Yeah.
And I would have to inform the customer and then the management, of course. So that's pretty easy to do.
I saw one thing where I saw in a theater somebody with almost like a mosquito fogger spraying down.
Right.
Have you ever seen this? The potential for sanitizing seats.
Right, and like the guys at the church in Arizona when Trump made the visit, we've got this coronavirus eliminator gizmo. We're just gonna spray the whole church with it. And no, it's electronic. Yeah. No, it's really cool. So
I saw that. Is that and I know that's not true, right? Was that just bogus or hogwash?
I think the airlines are experimenting with these ionization things that can do something to the air if there's floating particles. I have no idea what the technology is, but suffice to say that most everybody with their restaurants and certainly with movie theaters and other places are cleaning and cleaning and cleaning some more. And so whatever you spray or whatever technology you use, that's a growth industry right now. We can eliminate all the bugs in the building,
Oh my gosh.
We'll
see.
Also, Disney announced that their Hamilton, their live recording of the Hamilton stage play, which was going to go into theaters, is now also joining Disney Plus instead of going into movie theaters. So we're seeing more and more of those kinds of product going directly to home video. And last week we had that little side conversation on the way out the door about the SpongeBob controversy. Remember
Yeah.
the SpongeBob gay?
Is
Well,
he?
now they've moved him back to home video in 2021. And I don't know if that had anything to do with his coming out or what, but SpongeBob, the new movie, is now moved to home video in 2021.
I forget half of what I talk about. How far did we get in the conversation about SpongeBob coming out? We didn't.
We just touched
Can
on
you
it.
We just teased on it.
can you give me a little more information about this, and why is this even being discussed? What the hell happened that this is now a thing?
Why?
Well, Pride Month happened, okay? And so this whole conversation with the Supreme Court and the rights of LBGQTQ, I always get my alphabet soup mixed up
Okay.
here. SpongeBob came out in support of Pride Month and the fact that the Supreme Court said that trans people can't be discriminated against officially. And SpongeBob came out and said, yeah, all right, yeah, go, Rainbow Coalition and all that. And that ignited an old conversation about is SpongeBob gay, which looking back all the way to 2002, people started to make that questionable, okay?
You do know it's a cartoon, right?
Well, right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
well,
that
we can say.
I mean,
the people who make it, they can just say, yeah, he is, but not even knowing. I mean, when they started making the show, did they set out for this to one day be revealed that he was gay?
The creator said he's asexual. He's not homosexual.
Creator is or SpongeBob is?
The creator said SpongeBob is not gay. He has no sex.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, that's not controversial in any way. I mean, of course he doesn't have. He's a stupid cartoon. He's a sponge.
But he has a relationship with his neighbor that caused some controversy. I'm just saying that Patrick.
Yeah, I know.
And he were listen. It's just the sort of things that the trolls bring up every once in a while to maybe they invented it to sell more tickets. I don't know.
This whole year has been weirder than the year that the best car we had was a K car. You know, this is an awful time. This is horrible.
There is nothing about 2020 that anybody will love or remember.
Well, and then back to more Disney headlines, the whole thing about their Splash Mountain ride that they've shut down now.
Is that the Whistling Dixie one?
It's the Song of the South tie-in from a movie from 1946, and that was celebrating slavery, essentially, that now Disney is shutting down that ride. They're going to retheme it. They're going to change everything about it except maybe the technology for the logs going splash. But
Why don't
Splash
they change the song. But the whole ride is racist, or the song?
It's just, Gene, you can't have any connection whatsoever to some of these issues anymore. And you know, you got to change how you were thinking in 1946 when you made a movie that celebrated slavery. Okay, you know, things have changed forever.
I don't remember Splash Mountain being the ride being that way. Now the song, fine, just get rid of the song. But why do they?
The movie Song of the South apparently was the theme that they pulled Splash Mountain the ride from.
Right, based on it. Let me ask you this, because I've been having a lot of thoughts because people have been engaging me about this, because for the longest time I was like, yeah, we got to get rid of this, got to get rid of that. But somebody brought up something that I cringed at first, but now I'm starting to consider the slippery slope argument. If you do one, people are going to want to do the other.
Where do you draw the line? Right.
Exactly. Because someone suggested to me, one of my Zaniac listeners, a guy by the name of Dirk, said, you realize people are going to go after the Star Spangled Banner. The second verse of it, which we do not sing, references slavery. So when there was also, before we started to do this podcast, the Dixie Chicks have now changed their names. Not that anybody's listening to them anyway. They kind of got blackballed. But this is starting to become more of a thing. So what do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I've never liked that argument per se.
Nor have
Because
I. Nor
if
have
we
I.
do one, we do it for everyone. No, we don't. That we take them on a case by case basis. However, to be more aware of what some of these things mean, whether it's the Dixie Chicks or Lady Antebellum or the garage door device that shows up at NASCAR from a year ago is suddenly taking on new meaning, although it's been there for over a year, right?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But we can't go there anymore. A lot of those things have changed forever, and so we just take them one day at a time and one issue at a time. It's not doesn't mean because we want to ban assault rifles that you can't have guns in your home anymore. We're not going from banning assault rifles to nobody has guns. Okay, that's the slippery slope argument the NRA wants to use, and that's just not where banning assault rifles is going.
But some people, I mean, the argument can be made that when you start to give away your little freedoms over time, this becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and before you know it, a lot of these personal freedoms have been whittled away, and that is some people are unyielding and uncompromising about that for fear of that happening. And I think so. I definitely understand both sides of this argument, and I'm still thinking about it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to consider. I'm trying not to overreact, but I'm getting it from both sides, Gene.
I hate to use this because it's such an old analogy, but the whole thing when you throw a frog in cold water and you turn the heat on, you throw a frog in boiling water, it jumps out. You throw it in cool water and turn on and as it heats up, the frog boils, doesn't know it is. That's what's happening. That's exactly what you're talking about. Small bits are being taken away little by little. Oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. But as that progresses, it's going to get to a point where a lot of our liberties are going to be gone. They're going to be gone because the vast minorities are now making the rules and dictating what we can and can't do. So, I mean, that it just, you see it every day in the news. You can see it happening. Small chunks of our freedom are being taken away little by little.
Back to the frog. I don't know if that ever really happened. Yeah. I don't think.
You think at some point the frog's going to go, all right, I'm out. I'm jumping out of the water. It's too hot.
It's too hot. I think even a frog knows the difference between.
If that's what you're taking away from this, oh God.
Little difference of opinion in case you can't tell.
When I tell you what, though, that whole thing about Bubba Wallace, when that unfolded, I was in lockstep. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe somebody threw a noose. And then this is how it went in my world, because people started to send me images from like a year prior of handles for a garage pull. And I went, no way, no how. No. And then it turned out that was it. And I went, wait a minute. This is what the problem was?
Yep.
Oh, no. Oh,
yeah,
no.
But listen, like I said, we can't ever go there again. A noose
no one went there.
No
one went there.
I was going to say, who went there?
Nobody did.
I saw the picture. There was a noose there.
No, it was a rope that was round and noose in appearance, but it wasn't a noose.
It wasn't a noose. It was a handle.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't, Ron. It was a noose is hard as hell to tie. You ever tie a noose?
No, the water's boiling on you right now.
Sure it did. But you know what? All the stalls had them. You could just pull down the garage. It was like, it's not a noose.
It looked like a noose, okay? And I'm just saying, we can't ever go there again. I'm just
Did you see
your lesson.
Did you see the one
all noose-looking garage door?
That's it. That's right.
Just a disaster. Oh my
Boil
God.
them away.
All right, guys, that's it. We're gonna draw the line right there.
You're right. What's our tease for the next podcast? Huh?
Ron's gonna miss the early bird special if you don't hurry, Graham.
Gentlemen, I have a full I have a full bridal shower report for you next week.
Take pictures.
Oh, gross.
Hey, we'll see you soon at the movies, everybody. I hope.
Okay, till next time.
Boil away.
Yep. Bye bye.